Finalmente, evidentemente, llega el tema de en cierto modo, la dura realidad. Las universidades españolas, como el resto de las universidades, no son organizaciones que disponen de fondos ilimitados para hacer lo que quieran, sino generalmente son instituciones que nunca tienen dinero suficiente para hacer lo que quieren. Inge Knudsen representa a una alianza de universidades europeas. Somos 39. Son las universidades europeas, para que nos entendamos, tipo Salamanca. Universidades en países de toda Europa, generalmente en ciudades pequeñas, generalmente universidades antiguas, generalmente universidades que han sido mucho en la historia y que tienen dificultades presentes de tipo económico, etc. Inge coordina esta alianza en Bruselas que ayuda a universidades como la nuestra a juntar fuerzas con otras universidades semejantes para llevar a cabo proyectos tan interesantes como los que nos gustaría poder hacer con Uganda, con Tanzania, con Kenia, con Egipto, con Libia, con Túnez, con todos. Y nos va a contar un poco qué tipo de actividades se han podido hacer desde Bruselas, con su coordinación, con su ayuda, y particularmente qué se ha hecho con África en el ámbito de la cooperación desde esta alianza de universidades. Y cedo la palabra a Inge, a la que doy las gracias por haber venido aquí con muy poco tiempo de aviso.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much. I'm afraid I cannot offer you anything as lovely as what we've just seen. But I have promised to be brief, so I will go very quickly through the first bits. I brought some of these leaflets, so if you want something more about the Coimbra group, you just take one. It's 39 universities. We actually met in this room in January 1988. So it's one of the founding universities, Salamanca. This from the mission statement. This is one university. Anyone know which one it is? It's Coimbra. These are the members. They are all on the back of this. This is how they are spread out over Europe. The one that is not in here is the newest. It's the University of Istanbul. But they will be in the updated version this autumn. We have a number of different activities, such as writing position papers to the European Commission. We have our annual conferences. We have a web portal. Some of you might be interested in the web portal because there are offers of, you can access the various member universities to see if there are offers of scholarships for doctoral students. We have scholarship programs. I will come back to the one that regards Africa. We participate in a number of projects. Some of them we coordinate. We have one running with North American universities called the Transdoc project. And we've been in the feasibility study on tuning Africa, and I'll come back to that as well. And then we're having Dean seminars on various bits and pieces. This one is pictures from Bologna. These are our task forces. They are, we normally say that the first 5 are the internal ones, and the last 3 are the external ones. And you will see there's one called ACP. It goes back to the early 90s, when there was an ACP policy being defined by the European Union, which was not called European Union then, but that doesn't matter. It's Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific. The Coimbra group was involved in a service contract with the European Commission in 2003, drawing upon the knowledge of the different universities within the Coimbra group that were interested in this contract. So you can see up here which universities, which countries in Africa were at that point visited by the experts under that contract. So what we handed into the Commission afterwards was a long list of findings from all these countries that had been visited. And I'm sure you can see from some of the names on the list that an update of that contract would probably be a very good idea. This is from my own university, the University of Aarhus in Denmark. A couple of years ago, we undertook another project within this task force for the European Commission under the EduLink project. It was coordinated by the University of Padova, and it was called the Audis project. And the basic thing about it was to introduce people who worked in the international offices, international secretariats of African universities to have a period of internship at one of the participating European universities, and also have discussions about how best to raise money to undertake the work you actually do in an international office in a university. Among other things, about how to avoid being dependent on one single supplier, how you try and make your patchwork funding, how you interact with your regional partners, how you try to spread the expenditure by participating in projects with other universities in the region, etc., etc. It was quite an interesting project, among other things, because it also taught us so much about the enormous differences throughout the continent. It is very, very difficult. You can see from the actual year, 2007 to 2009, that in 2008 it was very, very difficult to hear a representative from the University of Zimbabwe tell about the absolutely wonderful working conditions they had there, while you had press reports coming in telling us how people died of hunger and died of various illnesses. It was quite dramatic. And it raised a number of discussions among the partners within that project. You can see who the partners were, quite a number of African universities and European mainly as associate partners. This is the homepage, and you can still access the homepage. I just showed you the address there. I hope these slides will be available to the students afterwards, so you can always copy it from there. The homepage of the Audis project, so you can read reports and everything from there. We have a scholarship program started only 3 years ago for young African researchers. It's a pool of scholarships that the individual Coimbra Group universities make available. So it's money raised by the individual universities participating. As you can see, in 2008 there were only 8 grants available, but now we're up at 21 grants. It's all electronic, it's once a year, it's open for everybody from the African continent, and they can simply send it in before the 15th of March. That has been the deadline for a couple of years. We have a similar scholarship program. The oldest one is for Latin America, where we normally have about 300-400 applications for about 50 grants. And then we have one for European neighboring countries, so mainly Eastern Europe, which is in between this one and the Latin American one. But they are quite popular, and I find it quite interesting that about half of our universities are able to raise money either via enterprise contacts or within their own funds or national funds to make these grants available to young researchers. Over the past year, we have participated in a feasibility study as a partner in a project called the Feasibility Study for Tuning Africa. It has been coordinated by Julia Gonzalez, that some of you might know from Oviedo, who is one of the mothers of the tuning concept, which has been undertaken in a lot of European universities. There are big reports, you can find it on the internet. But they've also done a Latin America tuning exercise with 18 countries, and going through with ministerial representatives, university representatives, students, professors, everybody going through a tuning process, which is basically looking at how do we reach the various competencies that we think our graduates need in the best possible way, which is not necessarily how you do it today, I can tell you. But it is a very creative process, and we've now undertaken a feasibility study which has been handed over to the European Commission, and they will now see if they can make pilot funding available for a true tuning exercise. It has been done in collaboration with the African Union and also in collaboration with the Association of African Universities. I have to add that there is not always agreement between the Association of African Universities and the African Union about how you undertake education policy, so it is interesting on a lot of levels. So we will see if that project or that pilot project will come into force this year, and the Coimbra Group has already, as a group, indicated an interest in participating. The last thing I wanted to mention were our summer schools. Every second year, the ACP task force has undertaken summer schools. The first one was in Padova in September 2007 on the issue of poverty and exclusion in African countries. And there was another one in 2009 in Barcelona on immigration. And now there's one planned for September in Geneva, one of our other member universities, on the issue of health and human rights. Geneva is exactly the place when you talk about human rights. I do not yet have the exact dates, but you're always welcome to contact, probably recognize Cambridge, contact the chair of the ACP task force, which is Peter Bohle from Groningen, or Anna in our office in Brussels, and their email addresses are there. Or you can go to our website, which looks like that. So that's it. Thank you.